Oh, hey Vanessa, how are you today?
Good, thanks. See you.
Pretty good. It's the last Friday of the week. I am very ready for the weekend. I don't know about you. I know you've got a little bit of a cold, a little bit of a flu at the moment, so I bet you're also keen for some rest.
Yeah, definitely. This week has just been like a bare minimum week for me, really.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about when in business it doesn't go quite right. When it does go right, how can we do more of the good stuff? But first, before we get into that, and I should say everybody should really stick around to the right end because it has been Women's Month. I mean, obviously, we want to be. This episode really is trying to celebrate women in business. So we just want to if you get to the end, some really good stuff that you want to stick around for. But the question that I ask everybody is, how do you like your coffee in the morning?
So I'm a coffee snob and I insist that it comes out of a coffee machine. So we've got a Sage coffee machine and I like grind beans and I just like a proper coffee. And I would like to say I sit there in peace and drink it, but quite often I drink half of it and then it goes cold because I've got a toddler. So
I was about to say, does it end up going in the microwave as well?
Well, sometimes I'll just shove it into a travel cup and just run out the door with it like cold because it's just better than no coffee.
Yeah, most people, like, including myself, will spend a lot of money on expensive cold iced coffee.
Yeah.
Really, I could be saving myself a lot of money just by making a good quality hot coffee in the morning and then put it into my Yeti or my tanker.
Yeah. Just have a toddler, then everything goes out the window. You've always got cold coffee.
Exactly. Okay, so tell me, Vanessa, what is it that you do and why do you do it?
So I've got an accountancy practice, which I set up nearly 10 years ago now with my business partner Emily, and we're tax trained and qualified, and so we do like cloud accounting and tax planning and things like that for clients. And then I went on maternity leave to have Oscar, my son, and I decided that when I came back from maternity I wanted to do coaching as well, so business coaching primarily for women in professional services, just because I really missed having that one-on-one with clients, that I didn't get to do that anymore once I'd handed over all my weight for maternity. And I thought, I've just got so much to offer that I really want to go and do that, just to help people to live their best life, because so many of us have spent far too long struggling and prioritising clients and, well, basically everybody but ourselves. So I wanted this to be my way of giving back to other people.
And that was one of the reasons I was very excited about today's episode and recording it, because, as you know, my dad is a business coach, and I've seen the positive effects on businesses in the UK have had from having a business coach, just someone to guide them through the tools, the techniques, the numbers, the just like helping people realize that growing a business isn't this magical, mythical, scary thing. It really is just a step-by-step process, and all you have to do is just have enough resilience to go through those step-by-steps, because you make it dead easy for your clients because you're giving them all of this numbers, all this information, but actually doing it practically can be quite emotionally tiring. And that's what I wanted to. So my dad is not an accountant. He has a very different approach. When we were obviously pre-talking, I loved your approach, and that's what we're going to dig in today. But first, what is the connection and the relation between accountancy and business coaching?
So I think it intertwines quite heavily. So with accountancy, some people just want compliance. So it's like once a year, they just literally want to satisfy a company's house or HMRC, and that's it. Whereas a lot of people, they need help in growing the business. And so as an accountant, they get in contact with you as the first port of call, as that their trusted advisor. And so you're helping them to make decisions in the business or handle situations. Like we have clients that will ring us and be like, such and such a person's done this at work, somebody else has handed the note and I can't cope with this anymore. And so you're there like as a sounding board and unofficially as a coach anyway. But then when you add into it that we've got access to all of the data for all of the numbers, and we see this across, hundreds of businesses per year, it's like you've got that magical touch where you can bring in the figures and make sure that they've got accurate understanding of what's actually going on, and provide them a pathway then to actually get them to where their goals are. So you can do it from a numbers point of view, but also from like a coaching point of view.
Now let's dig into that, because if you're a business owner and you're on like Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, you always hear the phrase all the time, know your numbers. And I was like, well, that's great. But what does that even mean? Like, I know from marketing perspective, I can swarm you with numbers if you want. It's like we could be looking at impressions, we could be looking at the website views, we could look at like how many leads came through, even just looking at like the revenue, the ROAS, whatever it is. I could swarm you with numbers. So how do you even, one, know the numbers, but two, which numbers do you even concentrate on?
So a lot of people focus on turnover, and they're just like, I need to, grow the turnover, grow the business. And they can be growing the turnover, but are you actually growing your profits as well? So it's that bottom line that you're always going to have to be conscious of. So when we say know your numbers, it's not just a case of, well, I've got $5,000 sat in the bank, my turnover looks like this, I think I'm doing okay, so I'm going to spend like $3,000 of that money that's sat in the bank. But actually, how much is that is owed to like HMRC or your suppliers and things like that? So it then becomes a point where you're trying to get a grasp of like how much of that money that's sat in the bank is actually yours. You might see $5,000, but actually you might not have any money in the bank, and you're almost at a minus because you owe money out to people. And this is like what people don't quite understand. I think they just think, I can see my turnover's doing all right, there's that money in the bank, and I'm just going to go for it. But you need a bit more foresight and forward planning. So when I say know your numbers, it's knowing where every penny is that's going to go in your business.
Absolutely. So it's the stat still stands. The stat really never does change. It's 95% of businesses fail before the 5-year mark because of cash flow issues.
Yeah.
That is I say number one killer of any business is running out of cash. Number two, not having enough leads. And usually to solve having enough cash, you're just going to have more leads and more business coming in to keep bringing your cash in. If, and I say this is with big asterisks, if you're not really looking at your cash flow, like you said, or actually how much money you've got in your bank account, just exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So how much? Let's break that down into. Cause I know I've got my own process about how making sure we've got the cash cushion in business, but how much of a cash cushion should your business have? And like, how much should you just have lying around in that bank account for XYZ reason?
I think it depends on the business and your level of overhead. So you're having to look at, what it costs for you to break even. But I'd say ideally you'd want 3 to 6 months worth of your costs sat to one side. But something that I find works quite well with clients, and just taking it really back down to a simple level, because it's the simple things that really click with people. We've got bank accounts in the UK with the likes of Monzo. I don't know if you've come across them.
I've been a Monzo member from the very beginning.
So I love like Monzo and like the cash pots. So what we say to people is, as you've got money coming into your bank account, why don't you put like a certain percentage away of it? And you can actually set it up so that straight away, like 20% of the income goes into a cash pot, so you don't actually touch it. So it's just making sure that you're not spending money that's not yours, because it could be quite easy to, spend every penny that's coming into the bank thinking, I'm doing okay, like I've got all these sales in the pipeline and things, but then actually it's not okay, because those sales could fall through at any point, or something catastrophic could happen, and then how are you going to pay your bills? And especially if you've got staff as well, you're kind of responsible for their mortgages and their family life. To a certain extent, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole mission of this podcast is to help businesses win the infinite game. somebody pointed out, it was like, well, how do you win the infinite game? You have to just keep going.
Yeah.
That is how you win it, and you win it every single day that you're in business. That is how you win the infinite game. And I think let's settle on that point of, if you do have staff, you have team members, you are responsible for their livelihood, their home life, their relationships, their emotional state, their mortgages, their payments, so much responsibility to go on that. And I tend to use that as motivation. I always point out that can feel like a burden, because you could see it as like a pressure, but actually all that energy could be into motivation to how to better yourself and how to better the business, to give them a better life. And that's how I've always structured it and thought about it as a team leader.
Yeah, I think though that shows that you are the daughter of a business coach, because it is that mindset and the framing, isn't it? That, no matter what happens, and it's kind of like about the resilience, like no matter what crap we go through, like if you can reframe that and turn that negative energy into something positive, you're going to go way further.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to point out on Monzo, not to give them a full airtime advertisement, but it's so, today's episode really wasn't on cash flow, but we're looking at systems and we're looking at habits of success here, of these little, like you said, little things that are so simple, but actually it could give you one extra day in business. It could give you 3 months extra days in business. I know there's been times where the economy has been volatile. It's just given me that 2 months of extra business that's then helped me survive. This was very in the early days of business, and so before I got married, my Monzo was set up in that I'd get X amount of disposable income that goes into my Monzo account. So I always used to call it the big girl account, and but then the Monzo account was set up so every payment, if I paid let's call it 375, 25p would go into that little secret bank account. And so what ended up happening, it turns out to be about £100, so $125 or $123. And that was takeaway money with my best friend, or drinks money, or it was just that pot then became the food money. And when you suddenly have X amount going into your bank account, but then you've got this other secret pot that's been compounding over time, that you're not spending all of it, but you're dipping it into like when you want a takeaway or when you want to have a few drinks with the girls or guys. It's always there, no matter what was happening in my business. I just always had these little pots to be able to just carry on my own standard of living, which wasn't high. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a simple person. I just like to eat
nice things.
Yeah, I just like to eat and exercise, So, but let's spin back now, because that is a system, that was a habit that I took a few years to build up, to work out to like I said, about my lifestyle. What are some of the other, let's call it like 6 areas of goals, that's where you can help analyze a person's life to better improve their business? What would those 6 be?
So I like to take a holistic approach, so it's not just business. Like, people focus too much on the business goals this and the business goals that, but actually what is your personal goal? And then your personal goals then will feed into what your business goals are and what your business does. So one of the goals that I set is around the physical environment. So if you're at home and everywhere's messy and cluttered, like, that's going to lead to like clutter and stress in your mind. So that's one of the areas, and you don't realise how much the physical environment actually affects you. Like, I've got a coaching client who I could tell that the physical environment was affecting her that much. She moved house from where she was, and then it just completely changed everything because the physical environment was so much better. So that's one of the areas. Another one is family and friends. So it's all well and good, absolutely smashing it in business, but if your relationship's like falling by the wayside and you don't get to see your parents and your brother and everything else, then like, what is the point? Like, those people that are in your life are the most important people. And then self-care and wellness is another one. So making sure that you are taking care of yourself. So like for me this week, like it's been a really tough week, and I've been ill, my son's been in hospital and things, and so it's about what do I need to do just as a bare minimum to kind of get me through. And so the other day I had a bubble bath, I was drinking an electrolytes drink, getting an early night, all these little things, they all add up. So they are probably...
Sounds delightful.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, it was much needed, and I'm going to have another electrolyte drink this afternoon just to keep me going. But those are probably like the three more holistic like goal areas that I set. And then I also set ones like around the business. So you've got your learning and development. So what are you doing to learn and develop your skill set? It could be that you're doing a course, it could be just that you're reading a book or listening to a podcast, like all these things that are gonna like kind of hone your skills and learn your new ways of handling things, mindset, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your finances, so that can apply to business and personal ones. And then the sixth area is your business/career goals. So what is it that you actually are wanting to achieve this week, month, year, longer term? So they're kind of the six areas. So that should take care of a lot of the things in your life, so that you're not just smashing it in business, like you've got a really good life around it as well. So it's like making you live your best life.
Absolutely. And now I'm right in saying that it's not about trying to be 100% on everything all the time.
Yeah,
it's not the message what we're saying here. It's like,
no.
let's use the self-care example, where this week it's making sure you're doing some self-care, but if we try and go 100% on that self-care, almost that's going to be far too stressful, when simple thing like a cup of tea and an electrolyte drink and just having 5 minutes of quiet, that's self-care enough is huge. And I remember when we were having our pre-call, I believe you just had your hair done, I just gone to I just got my nails done. We were both in a place where we could have a bit of a bigger self-care, because that was last month, and it's that barometer of going up and down, but at least it has to go up. So when it does go down, we've got something to keep working back to. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I say it's like a work-life harmony, because I don't think you can ever have like a true work-life balance, but it is like just shifting things in the 6 different areas. And like this week for me, self-care is something that I've had to prioritise. Like you say, it's that barometer goes up, the self-care, and then the amount of actual work and effort that I'm putting in elsewhere, I'm just doing the bare minimum. So but it's okay, it's not all going to fall apart. And I think we have to give ourselves permission to just have those weeks where it is the bare minimum, and you're focusing on an area that's going to keep you going, but it's not necessarily that you're driving the business forward in that week. Like business can wait like another week. It's fine, it's not going to fall apart.
Yeah, exactly, because usually I discovered if the clients that don't want to wait, if like something's happened, like really something's happening in your life and they don't want to wait like 3 to 4 days, they're not your client. They're really not right, and it's not worth it. It really is not worth it. And there are so much good people out there in the world who do have patience. Because this is like saying, it's like you're really 99% of the time you're delivering the best work in the world, and just that 1% of the time you just need that extra leniency. The really good clients will just go, it's fine.
Yeah,
we'll see you next week. And I remember stumbling across this tool about 10 years ago, I think. But I think it was a Tim Ferriss special from one of the guests that came on. And it was almost like physically writing it down, all of these different 6 areas, and sitting down and go, okay, right, where I'm at this moment, like, can I give it a score out of 1 to 10? Where is it? Has work been a 10 recently? So home life, friends, relationship, social life, it's been like a 2. Is my health been about a 5? And just sitting down and being honest to yourself where you are, like on that barometer scale. And then, like you said, you do it. Well, you can see my healthcare. 2 seconds. Apologies. So, but then obviously redoing that assessment again and seeing if it's changing. And it's a good one is like, if it isn't changing, that's also like a signal to say, ooh, you might want to look at that. I know this, I literally said in the pre-call, this last month, it's been 10 on the work scale.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. And that's been okay. But I know I've got my wedding anniversary next week. I've got couple of holidays booked in May, and it's almost like I know I've got playtime coming.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have work 10. Because I've got quality time booked in with my husband. I've got quality time booked in with my friends. During these months, and so that social barometer is going to go up, for example. So the playtime can wait. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like you go through these seasons and it's waves, isn't it? And sometimes work takes over and other times the play takes over a bit. But it's just making sure that it does even out and that actually you are happy overall.
Mm-hmm. Now let's dig in a little bit, like you said, to that physical environment and how your home life, almost like how you set up your life does affect the bottom line of the business, because that's what we're here for, is to improve that bottom line of the business. But how does that home life and physical world affect those numbers at the end of the day?
So if there's a lot of like clutter at home and you're living in surroundings that aren't ideal, it might be that like the decor is like back in the 1980s and you're just not feeling things like when you're at home. That will then impact how productive you are at work. So something that I've learned, which has really helped me, and then it does help a lot of my coaching clients, is switching up your environment a little bit. So the house that we're currently in, this is quite a dark house, and I like lots of light to then be really productive. So I could sit next to like a lovely big window all day and be super productive. So this house doesn't give us that. It's very cozy, but it doesn't give us that. So I will go and take myself out to like a coffee shop that is like really light, sit next to the window and just absorb the sunlight and things. And so don't be afraid to switch up your physical environment, because there's no point in just sat still here and spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere. Like, the creative juices aren't flowing. I'm not even in a creative job, but like I still harness a lot of creativity in what I do. And so it's about switching your environment up a little bit and making it the best it can be, because if it's all a bit chaotic at home, then that definitely feeds into the business.
Yeah, let's break this down, because I started this podcast very much when I was still going from very nomadic. So I was either going from UK, Spain, America, like anywhere that will have me. I was going there and visiting it and exploring it. But obviously, this is still whilst running a business. So my environment was changing all the time. How does someone go about finding what's right for them when their environment is changing, and also when they don't necessarily always have control over their environment as well? I didn't have a choice where some of these places were, but I was still able to stay productive through that time. So how does someone find that right environment for them when they don't have control?
I like to go back to like practicing gratitude and just be mindful and like noticing the small little things. So yesterday morning I had to drive to my daughter's school. She had a clothing emergency and I had to go take her some more clothes. This was like even before she'd started school, that like I got the call for help. And as I was driving there, like it's completely like unplanned and it's gonna like push my day, which is, it's all a bit out of my control. But I thought, actually, I'm driving along, I'm in a really nice car, like one that like 10 years ago, like I would have absolutely thought I wouldn't be in. And I've got a glass roof and the sun's beaming down on me, and I'm noticing like the daffodils and the trees are starting to get the leaves. And so if you can like find like the nice little things, especially in nature, like I do think that kind of makes it a lot nicer. So even if you can't control your environment, there's going to be something nice that you can be quite grateful for, and tap into the mindfulness side.
And I like that a lot, because it can be so like work is 10, your brain is just completely, that is your whole world at the moment. Like everything that you can everything you can think about, it is so easy when things are going constantly wrong all the time to be just stuck in that almost pessimistic mindset. And really great one was Tony Robbins. This is actually from Tony Robbins, where every day we are training our bodies, we are training our minds. We don't stay we don't stay still as humans. We do adapt, we do adjust to our physical environment. And if you are training your brain to take in the negativity and go, I'm always having to firefight all the time, I'm always having to problem solve all the time, I'm having to pivot to pick up your daughter all the time, you're just training yourself going like, everything in my environment is negative and this energy is negative, when actually by practicing gratitude, and how how Tony Robbins says it is, celebrate the small wins. Like, did you wake up today? That's a big win. Let's celebrate that. Let's be back gratitude about that. Did you have a cold today or not have a cold today? You only celebrate waking up absolutely perfectly fine until you have a cold or you have a flu. Like we both have. And suddenly now we are training our bodies and training our minds that actually things are positive, things are good, and that will have that, again, we're calling this the compound effect of having more energy because you're excited to get into work or you're excited to get into the day. And suddenly that's a whole shift of, I'm going to get stuck in, I'm going to be productive. And if you're more productive, you're going to do better. You're going to do better at work. You get better at work. That's going to help the bottom line. You see how this is all?
It is all linked.
Connected.
Something I find really useful, which other people might, is every single day. So I use a planner for my days, and I have like what my goal is today, top 3 priorities, and that kind of thing. One of the things that I record every day is the high point of that day. So then if you're having one of those days where you think, do you know what, stop this, I'm just going to go quit my business or quit my job and I'm going to go work in a supermarket, like it's just going to be easier, have a look through those high points, and then actually it lifts you up completely and you realise that actually, yes, I am the queen, like I'm doing good, we've got this, let's go again. So that's something that I found to harness, like especially when you're having those moments.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a bit of a shout out to my nutrition coach. I have a lot of health issues, so I have my nutrition coach who kind of grounds me. But one of his processes is he asks me 3 to 6 wins of the week. When you get to a Sunday and you're like, what did I win this week? I've completely forgot. But when you actually then physically sit down and go, I did actually have some really good wins this week that I should be really celebrating. And it is, my health isn't actually in a really, really great place, but I would always continue just working with my nutrition coach just purely for somebody every single week asking me, what did I win this week? And just having 5 minutes going, this is good. This is really, really good. Now, as we kind of draw to a close, there's a couple of things I want to focus on is the vision board, because we've talked about where you are now, where you are as present, how we running the numbers, looking at how can we change our mindset. We've talked about stuff that's all very here and now and present, but actually what is the merit of knowing and understanding where we need to go? Like what does that future look like? What does that vision look like?
So I love a vision board, and it can be an absolute game changer. So obviously there's the whole side of it's getting you thinking about your goals and your future, and then I like to physically cut and stick out of like magazines and things like travel brochures, and that's how I do mine. I'm very much like a paper kind of person, like I'm pen and paper and cutting and sticking and that kind of thing. But what I use mine for is helping me to make decisions. So as business owners, we get so many opportunities, like coming onto this podcast as an opportunity. I've been asked to go to an event at the beginning of April to talk about this kind of stuff with people, and it's like, that's an opportunity. But when you're getting all these opportunities, ask yourself and look at your vision board and say, does this opportunity align me and get me closer to what's on that vision board? Because if it doesn't, then it's not worth taking the opportunity half the time. But if it's going to get you closer, then you should go for it. So I use it as like a decision making tool. Is it getting me closer to those goals or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if you're a business owner, 9 out of 10 times you're going to be a magpie. And what I mean by that is
shiny.
If it's shiny, we're going to go say yes and we're going to go do it. But remember, we only have a finite of resources and a finite of capacity in our very infinite business. And so you've got to be real strict, or real disciplined on where are you going, what is that vision, what does that look like, and having that tool, exactly like you said, right in front of you, just being like, is this opportunity, is it a yes, is it a no, is it going to take me closer to where it needs to go? And because the more you do stay in business, the more opportunities do come across your desk. That's just that goal of chipping away, and some are really exciting, and some of them might actually question your vision if like, this is the right direction, is it not, or do I need to reevaluate what that vision is for the next 5 years? And I've certainly done that, and it's got me to where I want a better place than I imagined I could go.
Definitely.
But there are some decisions where I'm trying to think of a really good one, would be just like I don't know, it'll just be it's typically the signal or the symptom is if it's wildly completely different from what it is that you're really, really good at and what you really, really love doing. Like if we go back to the hedgehog model, for example. And I also, one thing I liked is about yours is that physicality of the sticking, the gluing, the cutting out. It's all very good sometimes being digital, but when you can put your vision board, I think you said this, put it onto one of your kitchen cupboards somewhere.
Yeah, mine sellotaped inside where I go for my coffee.
When you go for coffee every single day, this is about routines, this is about habits. Was that purposeful to put it next to your coffee because you'd have your coffee in the morning, you'd look at your vision board, set yourself for the day of like, this is what I'm going to achieve? Was that personal?
Yeah, so I didn't want it to be on display that every person that comes into the house is like, oh, what's that? Like, and then starts to comment and put their own 2 pence in about what my goals are. So I got it like hidden away, but it's the cupboard that I go into the most. So it's not just in the morning. I've actually got coffee on the bottom shelf, and on the top shelf I've got all my washing pods because I'm worried that Oscar could get them and eat them. So I've put them up there to be safe. But I do a lot of washing. I do at least 1 load a day. So I'm in that cupboard multiple times a day, and I'm looking at what's on that vision board and reminding myself that's what I'm going for.
Absolutely. These are these little 1% micros that will be the difference on the bottom line.
Consistently,
and it's really hard
doing things.
Yeah, exactly. It's the consistency that compounds, and it's really, really hard for us to see as humans how on earth just looking at a vision board actually make a big difference. But when you, like I said, we're just sitting down breaking it down, it's a huge game changer, and you can replicate this across all of the different 6 goals that we've talked about. And you start to optimize a little bit at a time. You'll get to a point where you will become that vision that you've been looking for and attaining. Now, just one final question as we draw everything to a close. It has just been Women in Business Month. We are both women in business, so I've got the absolute pleasure. What's the importance of supporting women in business particularly?
I think that as women in business, we've got a unique set of challenges. So automatically, we kind of fall into the default person for childcare. So we're the default childcare. We're the default person for doing the housework, sorting out the shopping, what's for tea. I mean, I'm very lucky. My partner takes part in every aspect of my life, but it does happen that, when my son was ill this week, I was the first person that was, out of work because I can do that because I've got a team around me. He's employed, and then he'd lose a day's pay and things like that. So I do think as women, we've got all these unique challenges that we face. And so I think by being open and honest about the things that we do face, we can support each other on a lot deeper level and know that it's not just us and that we can have it all.
I agree. I felt like from my perspective, it took a long time to find, my partner, my husband. But it's exactly what you said. Everything is we are a team. So the washing, the washing is done between us, the cooking's done between us, the cleaning's done between us. And we're pre-children, so but we've got very much the desire to be very there for them, but both of us being there very for them both, and that's a huge deal. Because not every woman in business have that.
No.
And so we're both being having some gratitude. If we're both being really positive, it does make a world of difference. But like you said, there is a lot of biological differences and different ways that females and males approach things, or demands that are needed. Like kids, for example, depending on which developmental age they're at, they will swing from different parents to each other and what they need from that parent, and business isn't forgiving enough to be saying, wow, okay, you've got to go off and now sort the kids out and things like that. So no, thank you. It's nice just to be able to celebrate women in business, and more women are having the opportunity to run their own businesses and to lead their own teams, and shine a light on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So perfect. Thank you so much for your time today and everything we spoke about. I feel like there has been a ton of pragmatic, tangible things that people could be putting into their business tomorrow. I like vision boards, the easy one. Let's do it tomorrow. You can do that this evening. It will really, really massively help. So if somebody is listening to this podcast and they really want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to find you and speak with you?
So the best thing to do is send me a DM. So either LinkedIn or Instagram are the favourite places where I hang out. So my Instagram handle is the Vanessa Fuller, and then on LinkedIn, Vanessa Fuller, and you'll find me on there.
Perfect. There's always in the social posts, there's always in the links in the descriptions, and absolutely get in touch with you today. Thank you so much for your time and for today's content. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.